So, आपको याद होगा last two sessions, we've been little removed from the script of the Gita, but we've been talking about something which you'll find in that Gita dialogues actually, जो आप पढ़ रहे हो ना, which is sort of the essence of what Gita is in a way saying, which is how do you change yourself? What do you do to transform yourself? Right? So that's what we have been talking about. And the way that I described it was through three things. We said purpose, practice, and inquiry. याद है आपको? We talked about these
हम्म,
three things.
हम्म,
So purpose, practice, and inquiry. And we've been talking about the inquiry part, which is the पहली inquiry जो है ना हमको करनी है सबसे पहले is to see कि हम संसारी हैं, हम संसार में हैं. That is the first thing we have to realize. कि हम संसार में हैं and because of संसार दुख और सुख ऐसे आते जाते हैं ऊपर नीचे सुख और सुख राइट एंड हमने बताया था कि संसारी मीन्स अ पर्सन हु फेसेस दिस दुख एंड सुख बट अंडरलाइंग इट देयर एंजाइटी कि क्या होगा आगे क्या होगा जिंदगी में मैं सेफ रहूंगी कि नहीं मेरे बच्चे सेफ रहेंगे कि नहीं देयर इज एन एंजाइटी ऑल द टाइम underneath everything. So that is a definition of a samsari. And I think the first inquiry is to see that in anxiety in yourself. Some people have no doubt, उनको लगता है yes, I can see it. But some people don't. They say नहीं नहीं सब ठीक है. They go out party, they do this, they do that. But all that they do is covering the anxiety. When at moments, when you are like by yourself, कुछ नहीं है, कोई distraction नहीं है, that anxiety then surfaces, right? So the first inquiry is to understand this anxiety and to understand how samsar is creating this anxiety. And what is samsar? Samsar is just our attitude. Okay, so this is repetition. We've talked about it before, but I'm just to make sure that we are all on the same page. Our attitude is what creates this inquiry, this um,
एंग्जाइटी
anxiety. And to be able to see कि मैंने ये एंजाइटी हुई एंड दिस इज द रीजन व्हाई आई एम फीलिंग एंग्शियस not put the blame on the other person or the world but to understand how my ego and my desires are are the responsible party for this anxiety this problem that is the first inquiry so to मैं आपको पढ़ाता हूं तो मैं आपको बता दूंगा ये सब कुछ आपने लिखा हुआ बड़ी जगह पढ़ा होगा दैट इज नॉट इंक्वायरी दैट इज स्टडी कोई भी गीता कभी भी पढ़ो उसमें लिखा होगा कि भगवान जी कहते हैं कि मेरे पे छोड़ दो क्योंकि तुम संसारी हो तुम्हें चिंता हो रही है आप भी नोट करोगे यस यस ट्रू ट्रू बट वी डोंट रियली अंडरस्टैंड इट वी रीड इट वी फॉरगेट इट वी गो अवे दैट इज जस्ट अ स्टडी इंक्वायरी मीन्स टू सी what you are studying to see it in your life literally see it in your life on a day-to-day basis that is inquiry. Once you see it in your life, then you don't forget it. Then you know it. That's a difference between knowledge by studying and knowledge through personal experience, knowledge through
एक्सपीरियंस
personal insight. So the first inquiry is to understand this. And you will get to a place where you will see, yes, it's my own nature which is causing this problem for me. मेरे को गुस्सा बहुत आता है इस वजह से मेरी लोगों से लड़ाइयाँ होती हैं उस वजह से मुझे प्रॉब्लम्स होती हैं एंजाइटी होती है क्योंकि मेरी लड़ाई बहुत हो रही है लोगों से सो मुझे गुस्सा ठीक करना है now what happens is once you have this inquiry then there is practice is to say how do you what do you do to improve yourself so that you are addressing some of the root causes ऑफ योर इश्यूज. बट क्या होता है कि द मोमेंट वी रियलाइज ओके मेरे में गुस्सा है, आई वॉन्ट टू से मैं आई वॉन्ट टू गेट माई गुस्सा राइट, मैंने गुस्से पे काबू करना है. एंड यू ट्राई एंड यू ट्राई, बट गुस्सा काबू में नहीं आता. बिकॉज द रूट ऑफ द गुस्सा इज नॉट ऊपर ऊपर का, इट्स डीप डाउन, द वेरी डीप डाउन. बड़ी पुरानी पुरानी बातें हैं जिनसे आदतें पड़ी हैं, बचपन की बातें हैं, लॉट ऑफ एक्सपीरियंसेस विच आर डीप इन आवर सबकॉन्शियस, जिसकी वजह से वी रिएक्ट द वे वी रिएक्ट. सो हमको लगता है आई शुड बी एबल टू कंट्रोल इट, बट आई कांट कंट्रोल इट. एंड दैट मेक्स अस, one or two things happen. Either it makes us very frustrated. Why can't I control it? That makes the problem worse because now you have self-loathing. You're not happy with yourself. और यू से ये गीता शीता छोड़ो, इसका कोई फायदा नहीं है, दिस इज नॉट प्रैक्टिकल, ये कहने की बातें हैं, मैं छोड़ो इसको, आई जस्ट डू समथिंग एल्स, राइट? बट चेंज डजंट हैपन. So between actually this inquiry and practice, there is another thing we have to do, which is acceptance. We have to learn to accept ourselves the way we are. So for example, if we find कि हमें बहुत गुस्सा आता है and मेरे में बड़ी कोई और problems है, कोई issues हैं, then you see them and say that's fine. This is what God has given me. This is what I am. It's okay. It's not the acceptance which means कि मैं इसके बारे में कुछ नहीं करूंगी, ऐसी बात नहीं है. That is not the meaning of the acceptance. The acceptance means to be able to say, I'm okay and I will try my best to change because the right thing to do is to change. But I'm not going to get frustrated if I find that my success or my change is not as quickly as I wanted. So you remember now, this we told you about कर्म योगा. कर्म योगा का मतलब है कर्म करे जाओ, फल की चिंता मत करो. सो अगर तुमने अपने आप को भी चेंज करना है तो वही करना है, कर्म करो, ट्राई टू इम्प्रूव, बट फल की चिंता मत करो. डोंट गेट फ्रस्ट्रेटेड if the result is not coming across to you the way that you want it to, if you're not changing as much as you want to change. So that is the practice, and you can only do that if you have a degree of acceptance. If you say कि ठीक है, if I can change that will be very good, but if I can't change, then also I am okay. I have, everybody has plus and minuses, everybody has problems and issues, I have my own issues, and I'm not going to be, this is my desire कि मेरे में सब कुछ अच्छा होना चाहिए, इसकी कोई ज़रूरत नहीं है. आई एम फाइन. एंड आप देखोगे कभी कभी यू कैन सिट डाउन एंड मेडिटेट एंड थिंक लाइक दिस कि आई एम ओके, you'll find you will feel okay. कितनी भी प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, कैसा भी है, क्योंकि कोई भी परफेक्ट नहीं है, हमेशा कितना भी अच्छा बनो उससे अच्छा बन सकते हो. सो दिस काइंड ऑफ एक्सेप्टेंस, दिस अंडरस्टैंडिंग दैट आई एम नॉट, आई शुड नॉट ब्लेम माई सेल्फ फॉर माई इश्यूज, दैट एक्सेप्टेंस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट for making any change, for doing any karma yoga. Because if you are always agitated and upset at yourself, then karma yoga cannot happen. So this is what we discussed: inquiry and practice. And the other thing in between is purpose. One way to make your practice easier is to have a purpose. And by purpose, we are not saying purpose का मतलब है मैंने कोई साधु संत बनना है. Not that kind of purpose. But just purpose in your life, day-to-day life. So, for example, I was talking to my friend, in another class. So he's a doctor. So what could be a purpose for a doctor? So, for example, right now, his purpose has been I have to establish my clinic and earn enough for my family.
Family.
But if he thinks about it like a Karam yogi, he will say, okay, let me extend my purpose. Let me make it little beyond just me and my family. Let me say, मैं वो पंजाबी बाग में रहता है. So let me say कि मैंने पंजाबी बाग में अपनी कॉलोनी को स्वस्थ रखना है. That is my purpose. When that is your purpose, it's a bit, little bigger purpose than just taking care of yourself and your family. Then you will start doing things differently. You'll start engaging in community activities. You'll start doing things for others. That sort of a activity, that sort of a purpose gives you, facilitates karma yoga. You can do karma yoga better. You can actually say कि okay, मैं अपनी तरफ से अच्छा कर रहा हूँ, भगवान क्यों करे बाकी? But I will do the best I can and I will do it for the others. So it takes the focus out of yourself all the time and you start thinking about other people too. So that is what purpose does. So we all need to find a purpose, something, whatever that talks to us, which is worldly, not talking about some big adhyatmic, some big spiritual thing, just worldly things. Doing something for people around you in your community, doing something for whatever you can, that is purpose. And that purpose always helps with Karma Yoga. So this is the three things I told you: practice, purpose, inquiry. And part of inquiry is acceptance. Otherwise, you can't do proper inquiry, you can't do proper practice. So this stuff we have discussed before. I just wanted to go through it one more time just to make sure that it's all clear. Anything so far? Any question? Do you guys understand what practice, purpose, inquiry means and how the three things have to go together for
Mm.
advancing in this path,
Right.
right?
Mm.
That's what
हाँ,
we have to do continuously and
तुम्हें कितनी
gradually
सारी से उसके लिए उठना होगा ना दरवाजा खोलने के
our
लिए।
practice, our
उसके
purpose
बाद उसको
becomes
बता कुछ होगा।
our purpose becomes bigger and bigger. Our practice becomes deeper and deeper, and our inquiry also becomes deeper.
Our thinking also changes.
Their thinking also changes, yeah, slowly. You just take this first step and then keep taking the next small step,
Right.
and everything changes on its own gradually. Hi, Meeta.
Hi, sorry I'm late.
Welcome.
Thank you.
No problem. ठीक है? So this is, whatever we learn with the Gita, हम वो पढ़ रहे हैं, लेकिन this is what we have to do from our side. So should we move to chapter 8 then? Any
Sure.
other questions? Anything else you want to talk about? Okay. All right, let's just see what chapter 8 has to say. So maybe I won't talk about the Sanskrit shlokas, but we'll just look at the English translation. So abhi tak we learned about chapters 1 to 6, we learned about Karma Yoga and Sankhya Yoga, um, basic knowledge about Atma and Brahman and all of that we talked about, right? And Bhagwan Krishna talked about Karma Yoga. Then chapter 6 was about meditation. We talked about that too. Chapter 7 was about Para and Apara Gyan. What is Para knowledge and what is Apara knowledge? So Para knowledge is that
Yes.
knowledge which is about me or Ishwar or about God, which cannot be acquired through our senses. Apara knowledge is the lower knowledge, which is all the other knowledge which is acquired through reading,
Awesome.
seeing, watching through the senses. So we talked about all that. Now in chapter 8, Arjun asks Krishna Bhagwan, he says, you know, Purushottam, what is Brahman? What is Adhyatmam? So he says, Kim Tad Brahma, यहाँ पे, Kim Adhyatmam, Kim Karma Purushottama. So Purushottam, what Kim means what? What is that Brahman? And what is Adhyatmam? हमने सुने हुए words Adhyatmam. Adhibhutam cha Kim Proktam. What do what is called Adhibhutam? Because that is also another word. Adhidaivam Kim uchyate. Then what is Adhidaivam? Right? Adhiyagya Katham Kotra Dehe Asmin Madhusudana. So Madhusudan meaning Hey Bhagwan ji, Krishna. अधियज्ञ क्या होता है और ये देह अस्मिन ये मेरे देह में कहाँ होता है प्रयाण काले च कथम ज्ञेयोसी नियतात्मभिः so and then he says at the time of death how do people know you know that you're supposed to be known he's been saying remember me at the time of death so how do we remember you so these are the questions he asked him and then Krishna Bhagwan started answering so he started by describing Brahman. What is Brahman? And this chapter 8, its topic is Akshara Brahma. So let me remove this and let's talk about it. So what is Akshara Brahma? What is Akshara? So Kshara means that thing which will be destroyed, which will perish. Perishable is called Kshara. So the interesting thing is ये जो शरा वर्ड है इसी से वर्ड आया है शरीर
Mhm.
शरीर is derived from kshara and it's called sharir because it will perish. Shara is something
Mhm.
that perishes, which eventually will decay and be destroyed. That's why it's called sharir because it will decay and destroy it. Like there's nothing we can do about it. It's its feature. But शुरू से जब से देखो all शरीर किसी भी शरीर आदमी का इंसान का जानवर का you know शरीर always gets destroyed. So kshara is that which gets destroyed. Akshara is that which never gets destroyed.
Understood.
So Brahman is referred to as Akshara,
Understood.
never gets destroyed. There's only one thing in this world which never gets destroyed, and that is Brahman. That is also called, sometimes we call it Ishwar, sometimes we call it Brahman, sometimes we call it our own Atma. They are the same thing. Atma, Brahma, Ishwar, same thing. And they never get destroyed. But everything else gets destroyed. In fact, in Vedanta, they describe something called the Shad Vikara, the 6 stages of destruction. The first stage is birth. Then second stage
Mhm.
is being. When you're born, you exist, asti. Then the third stage is growth. The fourth stage is maintenance. You're just maintaining change. Fifth stage is decay. And sixth stage is destruction or death. These 6 stages, everything goes through. हमको बड़ा बुरा लगता है जब हम सोचते हैं कि वी आर गोइंग टू अब तो पहले वाली जो स्टेज होती है वो तो बहुत अच्छी हैं बॉर्न
Mhm.
एंड ग्रोइंग ऑल गुड
Mm-hmm.
इवन
Yes.
मेंटेनेंस इज गुड इन आवर 40s 50s वी आर फाइन उसके बाद
Mm-hmm.
then the decay starts right we don't like it We
Then
don't
just
like it.
start take,
Okay, we are all going to decay, and
then just
उसके
start
बाद we
thinking
are going
of
to be
that.
destroyed. The decay is really horrible because decay means you're still
We are
there, but you're in very bad
But
shape.
not there.
हाँ क्या दीदी?
But not there. I said you're there, but not
Not
there.
there. I mean, you're there, but in a very imperfect way. Like things
That's
which
what
are
I
supposed to
said.
work are not working. They're decaying. And decay होता है ना, decay से always it's a bad smell, bad attitude, bad everything. That is decay. So, but it's not something we can do anything about. Through
That's the
medicines we
cycle.
may prolong it. We may do here and there, but it's coming. So it's best to accept it. It's going to happen. कोई बात नहीं. But after that, death will also happen. But उसके बाद there's another janam.
But
The whole process starts again.
some people are lucky enough to skip the decay bit.
Well, you may be lucky, and some people may be lucky to skip the decay part this janam. What about next janam? What about the previous janam? We don't know.
We can like I think I can only relate to this janam. I can't relate to the previous or the next. I don't know whether I'll be a human or what I will be, but
Yeah, we always want the short term. We want the thing. We say अभी ठीक हो जाए, बाद में देखा जाएगा.
बाद की बात.
लेकिन द प्रॉब्लम इज के वो बाद वाला आ जाता है. एंड देन आफ्टर सम टाइम जब इस पर बहुत ज्यादा देख लो ना कि अभी देख लो बाद में देखा जाएगा, देन यू रियलाइज कि ऐसे सोचने का कोई फायदा नहीं है. हाउ मेनी साइकिल्स कैन यू गो थ्रू बिफोर यू कैन you'll say, yeah, I want mukti overall. I just don't want mukti just now, right? But anyway, that's how we think. But we are shara, and shara means anything that is shara has to go through these 6 stages. Not just humans, animals, not just living things, non-living things also. आप कुतुब मीनार को देख लो. When it was made, it was very nice and new and beautiful. Now maybe it's in maintenance stage. Soon it will be in decay stage sometime, and it's going to go. कुतुब मीनार के पास there is this steel का जो tower है ना? They say it's a fantastic thing because अभी तक उसको rust नहीं लगा. So it has stayed in that maintenance phase for a very long time. अभी decay नहीं हुआ, लेकिन कभी तो होगा. कब तक चलेगा? राइट. किसी भी चीज को देखो,
the
बिल्डिंग भी है वो भी डिके हो जाती है. मेरी वॉच है वो भी डिके हो जाएगी पड़ी पड़ी. मैं ख्याल रखूंगा, आई टेक केयर ऑफ इट, आई ट्राई टू एक्सटेंड इट, बट इट डिके. So Gita says these 6 things always happen, starting from birth to decay to death. It always, and there will always be growth also in between. Remember, there will be growth. Anything that is born always grows, and that growth phase is beautiful. Yeah. So that's kshara. Kshara is everything that is born, grows, decays, dies. Then there is akshara, just one thing. Is never born, never grows, never decays, never dies. Remember, anything which is born will always die. That is a given. If anything is born, that means it is a kshara thing. So death is nishchit. And anything that dies will be reborn also. That is also nishchit. In fact, Krishna Bhagavan says that in the verses in chapter 2, if you remember, because it is Shara. The property of Shara is it's always being born and dying, born and dying. Okay? So that is Shara. Akshara means never born, never dies. And just one thing. That one thing, so now his question, Arjun's question becomes relevant. He says, what's adhyatmam? आपने सुना होगा अध्यात्मा, आध्यात्मिक, ये नाम सुना होगा, है ना?
spiritual.
आध्यात्मिक इंस्टीट्यूट्स. आध्यात्मिक मीन्स सेंटर्ड ऑन मी, सेंटर्ड ऑन मी. Adhi, Atma is Adhyatma. Atma means me. So Adhi plus Atma becomes Adhyatma. So me. Adhi means around me, around and centered on. And Atma means me. That's Adhyatma. What is Adhyatmic? So Bhagavan Krishna says, if you think about yourself as the body, then you are Shara. But if you think about yourself as the Atma, then you are Akshara. You're just me. The Atma of Adhyatma is the same as Brahman. This is the teaching of Vedanta. Because there's only one thing which really is at the bottom of everything. जब सबको एनालाइज करके करो, सबको बॉटम में जाओगे, तो देयर इज ओनली वन थिंग दैट इज ब्रह्मन. अब आप भी तो उसी वो समी हो. आप भी तो कोई कुछ कहाँ से आए हो, आप भी तो वही हो. So if you go deep into yourself also, what you will find is the same Brahman. The only difference is when we think about ourselves, we call it Atma. Its a name is different because we say Atma, मैं. But if you go deep into yourself, you will find the same God, the same Brahman. When you think about it from the perspective of the world, what is at the bottom of the world, you call it Brahman. But have वही चीज. ठीक है? So when you say Adhyatma, Adhyatmic, that just means from me, with reference to me. Then he asked him, okay, what is Adhibhutam? So Adhibhutam, Bhuta means others, other living things, and non-living things is Bhuta. So Adhibhutam also, if you think about this world, if you think, let's say you're looking at me, I'm looking at you, you think about yourself as Atma, non-perishable, right? Let's say. But you look at me and you think about me as a body. So ऐसे ये तो निट्टू अभी है, कल चला जाएगा. Yeah. Then this Adhibhutam also is Kshara, right? But if you are able to see me also as the same Atma, the same Brahman, then I am also Akshara. You know, Rani Bhabhi, Veena Didi, Madhu Didi, Nita, all Akshara. Because we are all made from the same thing. We are all part of this world, part of this life. So ultimately, it boils down to it. Essentially, we are the same. It's the same. We don't see it because we are covered with all these shariras, right? We are covered with different shariras. शरीरा कौन सा होता है? जो शरा होता है, वो शरीरा है जो which gets destroyed. So what are we seeing? We are seeing the part of the others which is getting destroyed. And we are also seeing the part of ourselves which is getting destroyed. Even when we think about Bhagwan, we only see the form of Bhagwan. कृष्ण भगवान ऐसा उनका नीली छतरी वाला, राइट, ऐसा फॉर्म है, बांसुरी बजाते हैं. रामचंद्र जी का फॉर्म अलग है. वी फॉल इन लव विद द फॉर्म. कुछ लोग कहते हैं मैं फॉर्मलेस होंगे तो मैं लिंगा, शिव जी का लिंगा, दैट इज ऑल्सो अ फॉर्म, है ना. सो वी आर थिंकिंग इवन ऑफ गॉड in terms of a form. If you're thinking in terms of a form, that is also kshara. Okay. No form can ever stay forever. So when we think about Krishna, we also say, oh, Krishna Bhagwan was born and he fought and he died, right? When he was a child, he was like this. Then he grew and became this big person. Then he got old and then he got hit by an arrow and then he died. So we are thinking about Krishna also as Kshara. But Krishna keeps saying in the Gita, don't think of me like that. That is just my body. I am Paramatma. He calls himself Paramatma, that is Param Atma, सबसे ऊंची आत्मा. But that's just because it's God, we call it Paramatma. When it's us, we don't want to call ourselves Paramatma, we just say Atma. But it's the same thing. It's the same one Brahman, which is showing up as Paramatma when we think about him as God. It is showing us as Atma when we think about it as ourselves. And it is also showing up as actually as Brahman or Atma, whatever you want to call it, when you think about others too. We just call the others Adhibhutam We call ourselves Adhyatma. We call Parpishwar as Paramatma. Or there's also something called Adhidaiva. Adhidaiva means देव. देव लोग कौन होते हैं? देव होते हैं जो इंसान और ईश्वर के बीच में होते हैं, इंटरमीडिएट. दे आर नॉट ऑल पावरफुल लाइक ईश्वर. उनके बॉस, द देवों का बॉस इज ईश्वर, लेकिन देव हमारे बॉस हैं. इट्स अ हायरार्की. सो हमको कुछ चाहिए तो हम देवों को पूजा करते हैं. हम कहते हैं शनि देवता, ये देवता वो देवता, बिकॉज हमारे लिए अच्छा करो. हमको अगर पुराने जमाने में बारिश चाहिए होती थी तो वो बारिश के देवता को पूछते थे. आजकल भी अगर देखो, यू वांट अ गुड मॉनसून, सो द फार्मर्स विल बी वर्शिपिंग
Mm.
सम देवता. The devta which gives, so devta is like, if Ishwar is the CEO, devta is the head of different business units, right? So each business unit does produces different products which we use. So we don't want to go to the CEO for everything. We say, okay, let me just go to the business unit head. So we go to the devta and ask him for things. So when we think about devta, from the reference of the devta, we call it adhidaivam. And often adhidaivam is referred to as fortune, good fortune or bad fortune. तो मैंने कोशिश करी अपनी तरफ से कुछ करने की. तो मैंने अपनी पूरी कोशिश करी, लेकिन मेरा लक ठीक नहीं था, कुछ बना नहीं. एक बार नेक्स्ट टाइम मैंने थोड़ी सी भी कोशिश करी, लेकिन लक अच्छा था तो सब आ गया. उसको हम कहते हैं अधिदैवम. दैट मीन्स इट्स नॉट समथिंग विच इज इन आवर कंट्रोल, बट देवताज आर कंट्रोलिंग इट. द देवता जिनको हम पूजा करते हैं वो हमको लक दे रहे हैं, कोई अच्छा दे रहा है, कोई बुरा दे रहा है. सो दैट्स व्हाई वी डू पूजा टू द देवताज. So that, with reference to that, it's called Adhidaivam. There too, if you think about the Devta as the form, Indra ka form, या Varun ka form, या ऐसे forms, then they also come and go. And you'll see the Devtas are not actually, Devta जो है वो title है. जैसे कहते हैं ना Indradev. So Indradev is not always there. Indradev comes and goes, dies. Some Jiva becomes Indra once the Indra has died. There's a succession. So if you this is true. If you read in the mythology, you'll see it that all these devtas, like for example, they tell you you can also become a devta. If you do a lot of punyas and you do a lot of good, next janam you could be born as Indradev. And then you will be known as Indradev, you will be Indra. But it's you. So Indradev also has a lifespan. Like I said, it's a hierarchy. Ultimately, the leadership comes from the bottom only, right? Somebody gets promoted to leadership. Who's very good gets promoted. So similarly, if we have done very good things, we get promoted to Indra. We can even get promoted to Hiranyagarbha, which is Ishwar, the CEO. For that, you have to do really, really, really good things. And I'm not talking this lifespan, I'm talking multiple lifespans. But the point is, if you think about it like this, it's all Shariras, it's all Shara. But if you think about the Devtas, the essence of the Devtas also, it's the same Brahman. Because there is only one essence of everything. Whether it is Ishwar, whether it is Devas, whether it is other Bhutas, whether it is me. One. We give them different names. Adhibhutam, Adhyatmam, Adhidaivam, Ishwaram. We give them all these names. But the essence is Brahman, and it's the same essence. That's what Arjuna was asking this question, and Krishna Bhagavan was trying to explain to him.
I have a question.
Huh.
Like these devtas we are talking, aren't these just the symbols of nature? Aren't they symbolic? Like Varun Devta,
Right, right. So,
the monster
correct, correct.
Devta.
So,
Aren't the powers, this symbolic?
correct. That is true. It depends on how you look at it. Okay? Like when you talk of Ishwar, is Ishwar symbolic? Symbolic,
Isn't
right?
it?
If you think about it, We went through the one definition of Ishwar, where we said Ishwar is the intelligence that pervades this universe. So
Yes.
if you say Ishwar is the intelligence that pervades this universe, then we think about Krishna Bhagwan, that is symbolic, right? There is no Krishna Bhagwan, there's just this intelligence which pervades the universe. Same
But
thing
he
here.
took birth as a human thousands of years back. But what about this Indra Devta and this Varun Devta and all?
It's that's what I'm saying. It's the same thing. If it is symbolic, if you look at it purely from a scientific viewpoint, right? But the symbolism is explained in Vedanta uh, as just like Ishwar is explained, just that similarly the symbolism is explained. So you can say, from your perspective, it's an intermediate step. You're saying that there is this nature. We don't understand the nature. We don't understand why things are happening the way they're happening. We can either say that there is an intelligence
Yeah.
in this nature which is making everything happen, which is how we first studied Ishwar. You remember? We said that Ishwar is the material cause and the intelligent cause. Ishwar is the intelligence which is underlying every aspect of the universe, whether it is a leaf or a planet or me,
Yeah.
anything, every cell has intelligence. That intelligence, there's no form of the intelligence. It's just there. And we call it Ishwar. So that is totally fine. So from that perspective, you don't need to think about devtas at all, and you're totally fine. But that is not how we have been brought to think from the, remember, Vedanta jo hai, it comes after the Vedas, at the end of the Vedas. In the Vedas, they talk about devas, they talk about devtas and all that because they're all about rituals. So if you're going to do ritual, you have to do ritual to some devta. So they talk about devtas. When you get to Vedanta, it tries to explain those devtas to you. It says, okay, don't think about those devtas just as this person because you've been only thinking about a person. Think about it as that intelligence which is running the world. And that intelligence is Brahman. So that is why it's brought in like this. But you're absolutely right. If you're already thinking about all of this as intelligence, as Brahman, formless Brahman, Nirguna Brahman, then you don't have to worry about devtas. But if you're thinking about devtas because you've been brought and brought up that way, and you've been doing rituals, and you've always been saying, ये मैंने ऐसे करा तब को ऐसे मिल रहा है भगवान की पूजा कर रही हूँ उपासना कर रही हूँ देवता कर रही हूँ रिचुअल कर रही हूँ you in your brain that thing is established based on faith, based on trust, based on all the scriptures,
Yeah.
based on what you heard from others. It's all there. So then, how do you explain through a person like that? How do you begin to explain Brahman? Then you say everything that you think is there, everything. People that you see, people that you don't, which is people like you and me, objects that you see, yourself, objects that you don't see but you know exist. For example, devtas. You don't see them, but you believe they exist. Anything, whether it's something, whatever it is, their root is Brahman. That's the point. Whether you believe in devtas, now you can believe in Indradev and all that. If you go to Greece, they might believe in the sun god. They might call it different names. You go to Norway, they might believe in Valhalla, some place where all these gods live, and they all have different beliefs. So we don't care. It's okay. Whatever you want to believe is fine. What we are trying to say is that the essence of all of those things, whatever you believe in, is Brahman, is one. And it's the same essence which is yours too. The important thing is that essence, understanding the essence, understanding Brahman. That's the important thing. That is what, when you come to Gita, that is what you have to understand, because then you are moving away from the forms and going to
Yeah.
the essence. Correct? Does
Is
that
that
help,
why when
Preeta?
people say कि आप चाहे जिसको भी पूजो बट भगवान तो एक ही है, चाहे हनुमान जी हो, चाहे कृष्णा हो, चाहे राम हो, चाहे
Krishna
विष्णु
Bhagwan
हो.
says that in the Gita very clearly. It's one of the most well quoted lines of the Gita. He says, whichever path you choose, whichever God you worship, feel free to worship. Feel free to worship the God you want. Feel free to worship the ways that you want. He describes some people worship through leaves, some people worship by giving gold, some people worship by, giving dan. He says, do whatever your mind says you want to do. Do whichever
Is
path you
karma
want.
also a form of worship? Is
क्या
doing
चीज?
good karma also a form of worship?
You can say that I can worship if you think about doing karma and you think about God and say that I'm offering this to God. That is the best worship. So Krishna Bhagwan says you can do any kind, whatever it suits you. But just remember, all paths lead to me. That's what he says. And he doesn't mean, when he says all paths lead to me, he doesn't mean to this Krishna Bhagwan, this form. He means
Hmm.
me as Brahman,
Brahman.
as the Atma, as the Brahman. The all paths lead to me. That's the beauty of Gita. Many other religions don't say that directly. Even Hinduism actually doesn't say that directly. वो तो गीता कहती है. So if you go to the very uh, ठेठ, क्या कहते हैं, the cutter Hindus, they might say, what are you talking about? Right? But see,
Hmm.
Gita happens to be associated with Hinduism. It happens to be in the Vedas. It happens to have been recited in India. But it's not limited to a religion or limited to one country or one race. Its message is universal. So you understand Akshar Brahma?
Yeah.
You understand Kshara Sharir,
Yes.
Adhibhutam,
Yes.
Adhidaivam, Adhyatmamam, all of these things. Adhiyagyam. He also calls himself Adhiyagyam. To your question, Meeta, Yagya means action. So karma जो होता है ना उसको it can also be called yagya. Because हम यज्ञ करते हैं, हम कुछ देते हैं, कुछ करते हैं, transaction, that's yagya. So he says even adhi yagya, even the essence of the karma is me. Do the karma thinking about me, and that's the essence is me only. You'll reach me.
But if you're thinking of God and doing the karma, then aren't you unconsciously expecting? And they say that you should not, if you do a karma, you should not expect. Like,
So remember, we said na the PPI framework, purpose, practice, inquiry. You
hmm.
start by expecting. You cannot stop expecting. You just take the first step, which is to say that rather than expect everything just for me, let me broaden my purpose a little bit. Even today, Mita, your purpose has changed from when you were young. When you were a when you were a teenager, you were not thinking about family. You were thinking a lot about yourself. Today, I think you have placed, my guess
It's the
is
other
that
way around. You
it's the
stop
other way
thinking
around.
about yourself and you think about the family.
First, you think about the family today before you think about yourself.
Yes.
If you have to eat, you'll first think about your child and your
Hmm.
husband and others before you think about yourself. That already is the first step to Karma Yoga, to the
Hmm.
purpose. What he's saying now is think one step more. Extend this family a little bit bigger, right? That's all. You don't go to the thing कि मेरे को expect नहीं करना, because that is a very ऊंची thing. है ना? So like we keep saying, take the first step, take a small step. Abhi, what you can do is just gradually increase your purpose, your domain. That's good. Because उसी से फिर धीरे धीरे एक एक करके बढ़ेगा. नहीं तो we will never, like I said, we'll be frustrated because we'll
Yeah.
never be able to not expect.
Mhm.
We don't have that capability in us right now. Our mind is weak.
Right.
And another thing you have to do is you have to accept what God has given you. Whatever God has given you, with its imperfections and perfections, you have to be able to accept कि ठीक है, मेरे में कमजोरियां हैं. Maybe you are a very sometimes you are a very tiger mom. You don't let your children give them independence. You're on the back all the time. Maybe you remember you're trying your best. You're doing your best. Remember this. You're always doing for your children's interest. You're doing your best. That's all you can do. You can't change your nature. You can't change it just like that. Over time, it will change and you can change, yes. But right now, you can't just wish it away. So don't blame yourself. The opposite of blaming yourself is accepting yourself. These are the two ends of the spectrum. एक एंड है जिसमें तुम अपने आप को हम एक्सेप्ट ही नहीं करते. हम सोचते हैं नहीं नहीं ये ठीक नहीं है, मैंने बदलना है. मुझे अपने आप पे गुस्सा, अपने अपने ऊपर ही गुस्सा आना शुरू हो जाता है. That is you're blaming yourself. Flip side of blaming, another part of blaming yourself is when you start thinking, oh, I'm great. मैंने ये कर दिया, मैं कितनी अच्छी हूँ. That is also in a way a reaction of blaming only. Because you're putting too much, you're giving all the credit and the debit to yourself only. You are taking all the credit and the debit. ठीक है? That will never work. Because कितना भी तुम अच्छा करोगे, you will always find something wrong in yourself. And then you will say, I'm responsible. If I'm responsible for the good, I'm also responsible for the bad. The other part of it, which Gita is asking you to do, is to accept yourself. Accept means you have no choice how you were born, the parents you got. Lot of your issues may have come from your parents, good and bad both. Lot of your good and bad may have come from your schooling. It may have come from the friends you had. You had no choice. You had no choice. So today also, your mind, you do certain things which are good or bad. At the end of the day, you do the best you can given what you are given by God. That is called acceptance. When you think like that, when you accept yourself, then you can change. You can say, okay, I accept myself, ये मेरी problem है. Now let me see what I can do to change. You're not emotional anymore with respect to yourself. You're being careful and deliberate and saying, okay, let me see, मुझे लगता है मेरे से ये नहीं होगा, मैं ये कर सकती हूँ. Maybe this is what I will do to change. And उसके बाद भी अगर आ गया, भगवान ने दे दिया तो हो गया, नहीं हुआ तो कोई बात नहीं, मेरा काम है कोशिश करना. तो मैं कोशिश करूंगी अपने आप को चेंज करने की. बट मैं खुश रहूंगी. एट द एंड ऑफ द डे मैं भगवान को ग्रेटफुल रहूंगी. I'll sit down and say, thank you, God, for what you've given me, good and bad. That is the right way to do your Karam Yoga and to change. Got it? So that is acceptance. So this is basically what Karam Yoga is saying. So, and don't say, हाय मेरे को एक्सपेक्टेशन नहीं होनी चाहिए. क्यों इतनी एक्सपेक्टेशन है? एक्सपेक्टेशन है बिकॉज यूर ह्यूमन बीइंग. राइट? क्या कर रहा है? एक्सपेक्टेशन है because you're a mother.
But lately, I've read in so many places that it's the children who choose the parents, not the parents who choose the children.
How can children choose the parents? What does it mean?
Like children decide to whom they will be born.
They
So many
decide
places I've
before
recently
children
read
decide before they're born.
to
I
which
think
parent they
the
want to
soul,
be born.
Huh?
I think means the soul decides uh, before a soul is born.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that is what
The
she's meaning.
I think the way to think about it is that your karmas decide, right? ईश्वर and your karmas decide. Whatever, in fact, actually, that is the next. अभी आज time नहीं है, but one of the questions that Arjun asked. See, this is beauty of the Gita. Whatever question you're asking, they're right there in the Gita. The next question. So the next question that Arjun asked is, what is karma? And Bhagwan Krishna said, karma is an offering that you give for your next birth. That is karma. हम सोचते हैं कर्मा एक काम है. नहीं, कर्मा is what you do which determines your next birth. That is karma. And we'll go through it in detail next time. It's beautiful. It inverts our thinking of karma completely.
So in a way one can know कि अगला जन्म कैसा होगा, कि मैं इस जन्म में क्या कर्म कर रहा हूँ.
It's in a way, but remember there's अगला जन्म नहीं पता because there is प्रारब्ध कर्मा and
होते भी होंगे.
संचित कर्मा, right? So प्रारब्ध भी है, संचित भी है. So कि ईश्वर also has a part to play. Ishwar will pick and choose which of these karmas are going to be exhausted in the next janam. So there is a combination of what you do and what Ishwar is doing. So that's what they say. Ishwar has a part. But that's what decides. Not कि मैंने डिसाइड करा के आज मेरा दिल है आई वांट रिच पेरेंट्स तो नेक्स्ट टाइम मैंने रिच पेरेंट्स के पास जाना है. राइट. ऐसा नहीं है. ओके. एनी अदर क्वेश्चंस ऑन दिस? सी, हम सोचते हैं कि वी आर बॉर्न सो वी आर एक्टिंग. कर्म हुआ है. इट्स द अदर वे अराउंड. हम कर्म करते हैं इसलिए वी आर बॉर्न. बिकॉज कर्मों का इफेक्ट तो मिलना है. तो जब तक वो इफेक्ट इस जन्म में तो सारे नहीं मिलते इफेक्ट. So
And only
depending
once you
on
are
what
born,
karma you
you
do,
will go
you're
through
born accordingly.
and only once you are born, you will go through the good and the bad and the pain. And so
Yes,
that is how you kato your karma, right?
absolutely. Because it determines what form you will take, which loka you'll be born, depending upon what experiences you need to have. Because those experiences are resulting from your karmas. Just the difference is that in the human form, you do both. You get the results of the past experience, past karmas, but you also have a choice. In animal births, that is not true. And in human birth in Prithvi, there are human births in many different lokas. Okay.
Like
Nitu, when they are killing so many people in war, like Putin is killing so many people in war, like Iran is killing, America is killing. So these people will be answerable for this wars.
obviously.
Yeah,
They will
people
get
who are killing, yes, yeah, exactly.
they are not
Absolutely.
killing. Every day they announce that
Yeah, but I think
300.
you also have to remember, see, हम भूल जाते हैं. हम सिर्फ ये देखते हैं he is killing and so he's responsible. But the person who got killed is also suffering the results of some karma of the past. Don't forget that. Okay. So
So the
it's
And also
you.
somebody, whoever is in that position, will have to give some orders, no?
Right.
He's been given the right to, to become so and so, and that's why he has the authority. Now it is for him to see the outcome of the authority.
No, I was saying that even the person who's been killed,
Yes,
let's say 30,000
yes,
people are killed. Those
right.
people were killed because they had to suffer this fate of an early death. Because they also did something in their past janam which needed to be punished. I'm just saying, if you look at, you have to be very objective when you think about the law of karma. It's very difficult to be objective because हम बड़े subjectively देखते हैं. हम देखते हैं right and wrong. कि Putin is गलत. Putin should be punished. उसने इतने लोगों को मारा. But karma doesn't work like that. कर्मा, अगर पुतिन ने किसी को मारा तो जिनको मारा उनका भी कर्म था, जिनका फल उसको मिल रहा है, उनको मिल रहा है।
देखो,
और
अच्छा।
पुतिन का भी कर्म था जिसकी वजह से वो ये पाप कर रहा है। सो
हम्म,
गॉड इज dispassionate. फॉर गॉड, पुतिन is not bad, and you know, we are not good. It's not like that. God doesn't make favors. God doesn't say ये अच्छा है, ये बुरा है, ये मेरे को प्यारा है, ये प्यारा नहीं है. For God, everybody is equal. It's like sunlight. It shines
mm,
equally on Putin and it shines equally on Mahatma Gandhi.
yes.
So for
But why is
God,
that
Putin is
such
not the
small
body.
children are, why is it that such small children are facing such untimely deaths, like 1 year old, a couple of months old, and like इतने short span में पैदा होके उन्होंने ऐसे क्या कर्म कर दिए कि उनको इतना
No, it's not the karam of this year,
No,
this janam.
not this.
Yeah, it's the
But
karam of
I,
the previous janams. It's the karam of multiple previous janams जिनका प्रारब्ध आप मिल रहा है.
It's probably the karam of the parents also to have to deal with that early loss of a child. Na?
Absolutely.
Matlab,
That is why prarabdha is so difficult, because prarabdha mein God has to match everything. He has to match the parents who have to deal with this loss. He has to match the children who need to suffer and go bad early. He needs to match the country where all this can happen. So many things, that is why you can't say कि मैंने आज कर्म करा उसका next time जन्म मिल जाएगा, because you have to match all these things, and that matching is done through prarabdha. So I may do a lot of good things today, but there may be no slot for a good good janam for me next time. So God will take some of the bad things that I've done from previous karmas and match it with other bad things and put me in a spot. And the good things may occur after 2, 3, 4 janmas, or after 20, 30 janmas, or whoever, maybe 100 janmas. So this we can't even think about how to do this matching. This is beyond us. This matching
mm,
is why we call prarabdha. That means
mm,
some of our karmas are picked out. Which ones are picked out, we can't decide. That is up to God.
mm,
Because God is doing this, He's matching at the Prithvi level, at the universe level, He's matching everything. So He's a supercomputer.
Nice. Really.
Okay, so we can only relax and say, okay, let's step back. You know,
Yes.
yeah, just take it easy, relax. Right now, at this moment, I can just be thankful to God. I can be happy at this moment. Let me be happy at this moment. This is what I can
Yes.
do. And it's the best thing to do, to be happy at this moment. Whichever way you are, whatever state you are in, whatever good and
mm,
bad is happening around you, whatever is going on, take a breath and say, thank you, God, and just be at peace. It's totally possible to do, and it's the thing to do. It'll help you, it'll help everybody around us. It's the way of karma yoga, it's the way of meditation. It's what Gita is telling us to do. you know
True.
Chalo. On that happy note. Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll meet in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
yes.
yes. Thought provoking.
Yes, bye
Thank
guys.
you, Ritu. Thank you,
Bye
Ritu.
bye. Bye.
Hello,
Thank
thank you,
you.
Ritu.
Bye.
Ritu, thanks.
Welcome.
Bye.
Very nice.